Hi everyone. Now we're going to do the reference example. So it's on your second tab at the bottom. And I'm going to copy these over. Titles. And the info. Right. I could have copied the prices over too, but we'll just enter them manually. So when I'm entering data into Excel, I'm not going to put in the dollar signs and such. And the reason why is because we have formatting for numbers and percentages and so on and so forth. And so you just need to put in the plain number. Now what I can do is I can format these. And if I go up, okay, so we want number. I can also right click, okay, and format cells. I prefer doing it this way because it seems it gives you more options all in one place. So it is a number. Okay, we could select currency. You can see the differences. Okay. We do want 2 decimal places. We do want the dollar sign symbol. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And we'll say okay. And the sample here will kind of show you what it will look like. So it is using commas and the dollar sign. So now when I start entering my information, I'll just put 600, go, and 2000 is the last one. Okay. Now in the square inches, this is going to be a basic formula. So what we can do is just put the equal sign. So that tells Excel that we're putting a formula in here. And for the square inches, it would be the height times the width. Okay. Height, and then the multiplication symbol, and then I'm going to click in this cell, okay, for the width, and say okay. Now when I look at, there's my formula up here, and if I click over here, okay, so we'll show you where the values are coming from. So C12, so cell C12, which is in blue, and D12, which is in red. Okay. When you have a complicated formula, it comes in handy. Okay. And then from here, we can just copy these down with our fill handle. I could also, so if I just highlight those, I'm just going to remove them for now to show you another way of going about it. We could copy and could paste. Okay, and there's lots of different options here. So I have formulas, numbering and format. Okay, and then when we look at this, click on the cell, it is a formula. Okay, if we click here, we can see exactly what it's doing. Click in the formula bar. Okay. And we're using relative references here. It's because it's changing, right? As each row goes down, it's changing when we copied it. Okay, now we'll save the red to the last. So this is like conditional formatting. So I'll save that for the very last. So for commission, we're going to look at absolute references. So we're going to take our price. So if we look at the formula behind commission, it is, let's see what it's doing. So it's taking the price and multiplying it by the gallery commission. So how much the gallery is going to get. Okay. And you'll see that there's some dollar signs here. When you put a dollar sign in front of the column and the row, that means that this value will always stay the same. It's not going to move when you copy it. It's an absolute reference. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing down here. So we're going to go equals. We want the price, and we're going to multiply it by the commission. And we're going to change it a little because we want it to be absolute. So we can put the dollar signs here. We don't want the column to change, and we don't want the row to change. We're just going to say OK. Go. I think the formatting was already here, so I'm just going to copy those down. There we go. Now for conditional formatting, this is pretty cool. And we even have some help here in the corner. So the quick analysis tool, we'll click on it. Okay, and we do want formatting. Let's see what kind of formatting. No, we don't want that. How about color? No. Okay. We'll leave that for, we'll try it for something else. Okay, so we're going to go up here to conditional formatting. So you can color, so if I want everything over $700 to be highlighted, so we can see which, because that's maybe our large, what we consider a large painting. Okay. So we can go to the highlight cell rules, and we want greater than. Okay, so anything greater than 700 I would consider large. And then we can change the colors here. Okay, so we could do it yellow. And we'll go OK. So it's a handy tool. So when you're creating a report and you want to make sure that maybe if something is over a certain amount, it needs to be looked at, or something needs to be done, then you can highlight it with conditional formatting. Okay, so we're done that one. Now we're going to look at mixed references. So the multiplication table is a really good example. We don't use mixed references too often, but if you do see it in a workbook or a worksheet, at least you'll know what it's doing, and if you need to use it, then you'll be able to understand how to do it. So in this case, we don't want the column to move. So A is column, so we don't want that to change. We want the column to stay the same, it's saying, but we don't mind if the row changes. And it's multiplying that with the column up here. Okay, but we don't mind if that moves, but we don't want the row to change. Okay, so it's going to move along this way. So if we're going to recreate this one, to start here, and we can start our pattern. Tab, 2. I'm going to highlight these two, and I'm just going to pull it over with my fill handle. Okay. Here, same thing, 1, 2. Highlight these and pull it down like so. Now, I want this to be blue. Just pick that blue. And I want this to be some kind of orange. I'll pick light orange. Dot. And I want borders. So I'll highlight my whole area and I'll pick all borders. Oh, but I don't want it that thick. And line style. I don't think that worked either. Let me see here. Yeah, we'll get out of this drawing borders area. Let's go here. Format cells. See if our options here are a little clearer. Yes, it is. So we want the style to be, I want them all, there we go. I prefer this way when you go to format cells. I find it's a little clearer. See if it actually worked, and it did. There we go. So I'm going to bold these so they're a little darker, and we'll start our first formula. So just like in this case, so in this cell, we don't want the column to move for the A column, but we don't mind if the row changes. So we'll start that out. Okay, so equals. So we're starting a formula. So I want this times this cell. Okay. And we're going to format it up here. So I don't want the column to move here because I want it to go down. This. I don't mind if the row moves. And for this, I want the row to stay the same. So I'm going to put the $ here where the 16, before the 16, because that's the row. Okay. And I'm going to say, okay. I'm going to look, and I think that looks good. So let's see what happens when we copy it. So far, so good. And it looks pretty good to me. I think that's right. And there you go. There's your multiplication table and an example of a mixed reference. So practice these. Make sure you know these for next class. And also do the assignment that's posted on Moodle for practice. See you Friday.